Ferrari Challenge, Coppa Shell, North America, Indianapolis, sun shining, Ferrari 488s on an iconic track. What could be better on a Sunday afternoon, Greg?
I really can't think of anything.
No, me neither.
I think we are in for something special. How about that? You've talked about the beautiful grooming and landscaping here. How about the Indy logo embedded into the grass there on the sides? They really think of everything here. And I think we're in for an absolutely great race based on the qualifying session we saw this morning. This Coppa Shell Race 2, I think, is going to be an absolute cracker of a race.
Well, it was an extraordinary race yesterday as we reached the sharp end of the championship, having been to Austin, Sebring, Laguna Seca, Montreal, of course, here in Indianapolis. We head to Homestead, Miami at the beginning of September before the finale Mondiale that rounds out the Ferrari Challenge season at the end of October in Mugello in Italy. So still quite a lot of racing to come, but it's got to the point in the championship and in the charge, if you like, where everyone is beginning to think about every single point, because points make prizes, and at the end of the day, there is only one prize, and that is to be the champion. So here, this location in Indianapolis then, and how would you describe this as part of North America, Greg?
Right in the breadbasket.
Okay.
It's a great way to put it. This is farm country, the Hoosier area, absolutely part of what makes this section of America great. And as we're in Speedway, Indiana, technically a suburb of Indianapolis, but very close. There is downtown itself. And you take a look, it'll appear over to the right there if you're a football fan. That big building that's just starting to come into view there is where the Colts play. And it's a big sporting town, obviously. And Lucas Stadium, a big part of it here. But today, all focus right here on this remarkable venue.
Absolutely extraordinary place, that's for sure. And we are so looking forward to the Coppa Shell race to come. And, of course, the race, if it even delivers 50% of the drama we saw in the Coppa Shell race yesterday on race day one, boy, we are in for a cracker, aren't we?
We are, and it was absolutely superb racing. One of the big stories yesterday was Marquissa's charge through the pack, and he had to do it on a track that is very technical, very demanding. And this is a look at it right here. That first section, down the front straight, turn one, as you can see, very tight, great overtaking area. Turn 2, 3, you get through that. You want to get through turn 4 with a good amount of exit speed and just flick through 5 and 6, that little left-right, because into turn 7 at the end of the Holman Boulevard infield straight is another good overtaking area if you get a good run. But from that corner all the way around, from turn 7 through 8 and 9, but particularly 10 to 12, which is that upper loop on the upper right, and then 13, 14 onto the front straight at the bottom. Those are crucial corners to carry speed, build speed, get yourself set up for an opportunity. But they're also, because of those long duration corners, those are corners that can take a real toll, particularly the left front tire. Tire management here is going to be big.
Well, of course, we are under sunshine, and we have air temperature of 31 degrees, track temperature of 35 degrees, humidity perhaps less than we expected, if we're honest, but nonetheless, inside those Ferrari 488 cars, for each and every one of these drivers in the Coppa Shell series, boy, it's going to be hot, isn't it?
It is. The humidity's dropping, which is a very good thing, but yeah, you're right. I mean, that's into the 80s now in terms of ambient air temperature inside those cars. It's certainly going to be plenty warm. It's a 30-minute race that maybe doesn't sound like much, but when you're thrashing inside the cockpit, it builds temperature, and that's where endurance is going to play a huge role in this race. But tire management, we talked about it. This track, very susceptible to heat. It's warming up, which means you've got to really take care of your tires as this race unfolds. And, of course, as the field starts to grit up, right down in amongst it, as always, is our Shea Adam. Hi.
Enjoying the heat. Thank you, Greg. It's a beautiful day out here. Nice, hot pavement below our feet. But let's talk about some of the people who have been on fire lately. How about Eileen Bildman? Car number 179, Lady Red, her name, and she has been the most improved driver so far this year. Yesterday, qualified at her best, but it was the finish that was the most impressive. She finished 11th, so watch for her to continue this progress up through the grid of today. Behind Dakota there, we don't want him to get run over, Kresimir Penovich. He's another one of our drivers who's been really flourishing as of late. Penovich had his best finish of the year yesterday, and that was 8th. He's going to continue to keep that going too, and an all-white Ferrari means that he should be a little bit cooler than some of the other drivers on the grid. Well, we go from that all-white Ferrari to another all-white Ferrari. This is one we're not used to seeing in all-white because normally it's blue, it's yellow, it's got pink door mirrors. This car belongs to Lisa Clark. Lisa, who's been on the podium a couple of times so far this year, won the Ladies' Cup yesterday, but she's looking to keep the strength going. She's had a very good season so far and looking to do better than she did yesterday, which was an 8th place finish. The row ahead of her is a car that isn't actually here yet. That's supposed to be Mr. Ted Giovannis, who had his, second best finish of the year yesterday, finished in 4th, but had his best qualifying yesterday. That was 2nd. He doesn't like being out on these sticker tires, but he really likes being out on a used set of Pirellis. He's going to have plenty of that today. So we continue to move up the grid. We've got the 120 of Keith Larson here. He was 7th in the first race yesterday. He's going to be strong again. He's starting 7th in the Coppa Shell class today. And alongside him, Bill Kemp in the number 126 car. Bill came into the series, had his debut in this car, a 488, which is a lot more difficult to drive than the 458. He finished 3rd in the race yesterday, had a big celebration, and he's looking to try and keep the party going. Next row up, we find the 150 of Michael Watt, who had a very good race yesterday. 8th position in class, but he knows that he can do a little bit better than that. The Heat playing a game today, but look at, he's got the blanket over the windshield. They've got a blower on the front, pushing fresh air through the car. An umbrella, he's keeping it nice and cool. Next row up, we find 2 of the really good stories, but this one in particular is one I want to hit on. Mark Davies. He is coached by Guy Cosmo. Guy knows how to win in just about every single form of racing, but he said something clicked with Mark this weekend. Whether it's Indianapolis Motor Speedway being a technical track, whatever it is, Mark seems to excel here. And excel he did. 3rd in qualifying for the Coppa Shell AM category. He's going to be even stronger in the race. All right, next row up, this is where we get the big guns starting to play a part. Car number 163, that's Jay Schreibman. He came into this weekend with the least amount of prep time that he had had for any race so far this season. Did not have a great end of the race yesterday. My man, he's going to do a lot better today. I'm counting on talking to you later, Jay. Alongside him, though, the pole sitter, the race winner, and then the pole sitter, Bradley Horseman. He got the pole and the race win yesterday. It was perfect. It was exactly as he wanted it to be. Well, he started out today well, getting the pole position. He's looking to replicate the feats of success from yesterday. And with Bill Riley's crew behind him, well, it's looking pretty good. 2 more rows to go. Oscar Arroyo in car number 190 over here, Ferrari of Fort Lauderdale. Always a man who's going to be charging up through the field. And he looks pretty well calm in there. Look at how dark it is in the cockpit. That is very, very cool in there. He's trying to keep well rested for this one. But alongside him, well, it's the guy that we all were talking about yesterday. Dale Katechis, the man with the party. He won the race yesterday, started from the best position on the grid. Dale, you going to do it again today? Oh, yeah, big thumbs up from him. Looking forward to seeing what sort of party Dale throws a little bit later on. But in order to get to that victory lane, in order to get to the top step of the podium and get the opportunity to do something only the greatest drivers in the world get to do, kiss the bricks, he's going to have to get around these 2 guys. On pole, we have Marquissa, the man to watch in the race yesterday. He gained position, started in 10th, came all the way up, actually it was 11th, came all the way up to 2nd. Mark, who got the pole position today, he's ready to do it all over again. But beside him, Brian Davis in car number 128. Brian finished 3rd yesterday. He's starting 2nd, and he's looking to keep the momentum going.
Well, it's very interesting, Shay. Absolutely great grid walk. That the top 3, if you look at them on the grid, Issa on pole, Davis and Katechis, top 3 in points.
Absolutely.
That's the point order. And 2 big stories yesterday. One where Issa, that charge from 11th up to 2nd was just phenomenal. But Dale Katechis, keep in mind, at the start of the race, he quickly opened up a margin. Then we had that caution, and it was absolutely reduced. On the restart, he opened up a huge margin again. He responded. It's going to be fun to watch. And we are just about ready to get underway with this one. So at this time, we would ask everybody to please rise and remove your cover as we present the national anthem.
we were talking about Marquissa. Fascinating statistics. He's only been off the podium or off the top step of the podium just twice this season. But what we saw yesterday, in my opinion, Greg, is we saw Mark absolutely at his best. His racecraft, we've seen him so often at the front of the pack where he does an exceptional job, but yesterday the way he was able to cut a swathe through that pack of cars to put himself into that position that you and I 5 minutes before the end of the race thought, do you know what, a podium is just on as a possibility here, but actually to take it to P2, it was an extraordinary drive and really reinforced just what a great driver he is.
It truly did. And you think about it, he gained 2 spots. And then that caution came out. And normally when you're back in the pack, you want a caution, but not early. You want to make up some ground, then get a caution, compress things, and have a shot again. But that caution came early, and it was a long one, almost a third of the race distance. Yes. And at that point, we were both thinking, if he gets to the top 5, that's going to be an achievement. I talked to Mark a little bit earlier, and I mentioned that, and he said that was exact. He said, as I'm trundling around under that caution, I'm thinking, if I get to top 5, I'm going to be delighted. And then what happened? A couple of the guys battling in front got into a real scrap once he got to the top 5, and he was able to close down a pretty big margin because he had speed, but they were racing each other, cut and thrust, and that slows you down a little bit. And that got him up there. And he said that when he came through and got through on Davis for second, with that little mirror rubbing moment, and he said, I couldn't see where he was because the mirror was down.
Yeah.
He said, so I'm just trying to pay attention. When I realized I cleared him, he said, I started to tear up a little bit. He said, because I realized that I had just done something that I didn't think I was going to be able to do at all. It was a superb drive, and boy, did it do him a big favor in points.
Absolutely. He absolutely maxed out his haul, didn't he? Extraordinary result for Marquissa, but that was only one part of a number of stories that went on. As Greg mentioned there, we had that huge caution period, didn't we, where between a third and a half of the race was spent behind the safety car, which of course unsettles everybody because you get yourself into a race mode, don't you? And then all of a sudden you stop and you calm down and you've got to try and keep temperature into those tyres and keep the brakes and everything else and all the components working correctly, and that's quite a job to pull off.
It is. And then in the Coppa Am category, the battle was Schreibman, who fought his way up into third, and then on the last lap ended up spinning, and just so much unfolding in this race, and Horseman coming through with a tremendous run as well. And are we going to see the same thing happen today? I think so. And to start it all off, let's get back down to Shea.
We've had a couple of drivers who have already ramped up their engines and then shut them back off because they were a little bit disobedient. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Start your Ferrari engines.
Love that sound in the background. Those
Absolutely. Beautiful
power plants in these 488s coming to life as we're getting ready to go here. And just getting back real quick to that Schreibman deal, Shea talked about it. He had less prep time coming in here than he had for any venue. Rebounded with a great run in practice and then qualifying yesterday. Fought his way up, had a third place going, was under attack from Bill Kemp. And he said he kept looking in his mirrors, and Kemp was just curb hopping, trying to come after him. So he said, I kept opening the wheel up, thinking that he might hit a curb and get into me. And he said, at one point, coming through turn 11, I looked in my mirror, looked up, and there went my braking point.
Yeah.
And he said, so I tried to make the turn. It just got around on me. And this is one thing about Jay, is one, he said, that was on me.
Yes.
Absolutely on me. But two, he doesn't make the same mistake twice. And you look at qualifying, second today.
He was very determined.
Really close to Horseman. So he is ready. He understands the mission here.
You're right. When we were having that discussion with him, he's so humble, isn't he? You know, held his hands up and said, you know what, that was down to me. As you say, not going to make the same mistake again. Look at this grid of cars then. The Coppa racers in the Ferrari Challenge North America Series then heading past our camera there and about to start this 30-minute race. As always, a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge. Cars gridded up behind the Hublot safety car, and this 14-turn, 2.4, 3-mile circuit awaits for race number 2.
And everybody paying attention to temperature, And here's the big thing: is you get this pace and parade lap, you want to get as much heat into the tires as you can. Make sure your brakes are ready because you're leaning on them hard down into turn one. We did see at the start of this race yesterday a fairly sizable incident down into turn one. Everybody, I'm sure, is aware now of get through this turn. Yeah, you can make up some ground, but you can also cause a big incident, and I think we're going to see everybody a little bit more circumspect today.
Maybe so. Grid, race 2, Marquissa and Davis then front row. Then it's Dale Katechis and Oscar Arroyo. Brad Horseman and Jay Schreibman go on the third row of the grid, P5 and P6. Then we see Milstein and Davis, Campbell and Watt. And it's Keith Larson and the car of Ferrari of Palm Beach. Kemp's car is going from P12 on the grid as we continue our scroll through this very big grid of cars. Ted Giovannis now, Heggie. Then we see Lisa Clark determined to do even better today. She was on the podium for the ladies' win yesterday. Then it's Choksi, Corley, Penovich, then rounding out the first 9 rows of the grid. And it is such a prospect. Dale Varwig, we see Eileen Bildman, then it's Neil Langberg, Eric Marston. He needs to get his championship charge back on track with this race. Then it's Perescoia and Cloud Senaretti, who arguably is out of position with regards to qualifying. Gianni Grilli and Rodolfo Lenzi, of course, who was involved in that race pausing incident that we saw yesterday, rounding out the grid for race number 2. It is a Ferrari Challenge North America, and the Copa Shell cars on their formation lap ahead of the start of this race.
And I think Grilli is going to be somebody to watch. He was second in the race yesterday, had an incident in the morning warm-up, and that's why he missed qualifying. He's starting at the back, but he has really stout speed, and he's going to be somebody we need to keep an eye on. And for Lisa Clark, this is not the car she started the season with. Shay alluded to it. She said, these cars are supposedly identical, but each one has its own little idiosyncrasies. And she said, we're just tweaking on the car. And she said, what we learned yesterday in qualifying this morning, she went considerably quicker than she did in quali yesterday. And she and her coach, John Miller, both had smiles on their faces and said they think she's going to be racy today. We are about to find out.
Indeed, as we ramp up the anticipation and the excitement then as the cars make their way through the final sequence of turns and head towards the start of this race. It is the Ferrari Challenge. We're live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and what a sight this is as all these Ferrari 488 cars head towards the bricks, and we will get race 2 started. So, under the sunshine, great start from Marquissa, a very good start also from Dale Katechis.
Yeah, Davis just caught napping just a little bit, and Katechis now able to clear him, move into second in that blue Ferrari, chasing the yellow one of Easton. Look at this, way down to the inside. Horseman, big move there, and was able to duck underneath Oscar Arroyo. That was a beautiful move. Meanwhile, it looks like Schreibman may have lost a spot.
Well, as all the cars, we think, make their way through turn 1 unscathed, for that we're grateful.
Yes.
As yesterday that was not the case, and we keep our eye on everyone here as we get this first lap underway. Of course, it's all playing into the hands of Marquissa, who is escaping up the road, but Dale Katechis is sticking with him.
Oh, look at that purple and orange entry of Watt running a little wide there, and right behind him, Kemp getting a little bit of a run, but not able to do much with it. And from way, way deep, that was an aggressive move down to the inside by the 127 and made it work. Lisa Clark.
You said she would be racy, and racy she is, but look at this. Marquissa is under pressure now. Dale Katechis knows that if he's going to have a go at this, he's got to do it early on when the tyres afford him the most grip, of course. So, he is really having a go at Marquissa here. Marquissa, though, cool, calm and collected. And wherever Dale Katechis wants to put that car to try and make a move on Marquissa, you can bet your bottom dollar Marquissa is going to defend. But Dale Katechis just losing out on a couple of car lengths now as Marquissa is able to stretch his legs. And we put the first lap in the book of this Copa Shell race.
I talked to Marquissa after the qualifying, and his margin back to to Davis in second was only 19 one-thousandths of a second. It wasn't much more than that over Katechis. And I said, didn't worry you that they might come out and go after it? And he said, Greg, I said, there's a point for pole. He goes, it's a point. He said, if I burn the tires off, I can lose a lot more than that in the race. I was willing to park it and see what happens. And I think that was a smart move as we watched Bill Kemp. Nice move on Watt, wasn't it?
That was textbook overtake into turn 1, wasn't it, from Bill Kemp? Did that really, really well. So Bill Kemper's another driver that's on a charge, and all of a sudden now on a charge is Davis. Look, he's beginning to reel in Dale Katechis. So initially it was Katechis really going after Marquissa, but now Marquissa, of course, with the clear track ahead of him, is able to stretch his legs. You could just see the car of Davis getting a little bit squirmy under braking there, but he maintains his position in terms of trying to attack that 143 car of Dale Katechis from Miller Motor Cars. So you're in a difficult position if you're Dale Katechis, because you want to attack the car in front, but you've also got to be minded that you've got to defend from the car at the rear. So you're hunting and being hunted at the same time, and that just plays into the hands of Marquissa.
It does, and what happens is when you have pressure coming up behind, you tend to just those little glances in the mirror, and it means that every once in a while you can miss your turning just a little bit. I saw Dale at one point drop a tire, throw up a little bit of dust. Not something he does normally, so he's already feeling that bit of pressure from Davis. And for him, obviously, he's chasing Davis. He's only 9 points behind Davis, who's second in the points. So, yeah, he wants to be able to go after Issa, but he wants to also at least maybe be able to take a big chunk of points away from Davis at this point. And then another superb run from Brad Horseman as he sits fourth overall, leading in the Coppa Shell AM category. And there's the guy who's in second at Ferrari with the white nose, Jay Schreibman.
Okay, fastest lap has come from Davis then, who's running P3 at the moment. Just keep your eyes on Oscar Arroyo here, who is beginning to reel in that very hard charge from Brad Horseman, as you said. But there you can see those two battling out. This red and black car is the Foreign Cars Italia machine of Brad Horseman, but there is Oscar Arroyo. He is on something of a charge as well. So he's running, of course, in Class P4, P5 overall. And
Bill Kemp just set fast lap at Coppa Shell AM, and he is coming after the 108 of Davis as well. And I think he just got him. I think he just got him down into turn 7. So what a run that Kemp is putting together here.
And this is Oscar Arroyo then. I said he was one to keep an eye on here. Now, of course, it's completely academic, the car ahead of him, because he's out of class. But nonetheless, he needs to, if he wants to get on terms with the likes of Davis and Katechis, he needs to get past this car as quickly as possible, because already the first 5 minutes of the race done and dusted.
Well, and the other point is that if he doesn't clear Horseman, he's got Kevin Milstein, who is in his class, coming up behind him, 5th in class right now. And there's a look at the 163 of Schreibman, who finds himself still in second spot where he qualified. But he has now, as Milstein has slipped between himself and Arroyo and Horseman, so he's got a little bit more work to do. And he did a great job yesterday, was able to move up smartly, and we'll see what he's able to do here. But this is big points implications. This is the closest class in terms of points right now. Schreibman leads it with Horseman's point for pole. The margin first to second is 3. So very close right now.
So the Davis car, the 108 machine, you can see there then. Kemp ahead of him, and also Jay Schreibman that we were just talking about. Incidentally, that battle between Arroyo and Milstein, the margin between the two of them is only a second. So you're absolutely right. Arroyo needs to clear Horseman as quickly as he can. Otherwise, he's going to come under attack from Kevin Milstein.
Just saw Davies dropping that set of tires on the outside of that curb. Checked in with the race director today about that, and I said, is there any track violation issue over there? He said, no, it's kind of self-policing. He said, if you get so wide through there that you drop all your tires off the back of the curb, you're not going to be fast because you're going to have to recover and come back. He said, we're not really too concerned about that. We're going to let him race. I think that's a savvy move.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a refreshing to hear that from a race director, where track limits can be so much of an issue sometimes that, as he says, this is just completely self-policing, and you can do yourself more damage in any event. So there's no point penalising any further. So Michael Watt here in the 150 car is running P6 in Class P10 overall. He's got the Davies car ahead of him. Michael Watt is looking quite lively now.
Well, we just saw two different lines between those two drivers through turn 11, and you could see that Davies ran a much tighter line, and what that does is you get that little bit of lateral side scrub as a big move there.
Nearly happened, didn't it? But of course, what that has allowed Milstein to get ever closer to Oscar Arroyo as well. So there's going to be a three-way fight going on here. It's a fight between Arroyo and Milstein within class, but Brad Horseman, who's out on his own and the best of the AM drivers at the moment, and looking pretty comfortable as well, because whatever Oscar has tried to do, he's been able to defend against that. So Oscar Arroyo not having a good time of trying to get past him, and of course he's going to be pressured into that even more by Kevin Milstein from Ferrari of San Diego, who's right on his back bumper now.
You can see that Arroyo's really good on the brakes. He gets in really deep. In turn 1 when he got in deep but went to the inside a little bit. That now makes that, wiggle there by Horseman. Felt him at turn in over there at turn number 10. And that can really kill your exit speed in an area here that you really want to have pace. He seemed to recover okay.
So under braking then, Arroyo just moves in a little bit closer and takes a look at the inside now. So this is a real ding-dong battle going on between these two, and Milstein is just saying, right, I'm going to buy into this party as well if I possibly can, and allow these two to fight and create the hole in the air that I want to come through. So now, surely there's got to be a move going into turn number 1. Oscar Arroyo then almost getting a drag off the car ahead of him. He will presumably dive to the inside. It's tight going through turn number 1, and you've got to be so keen and mean on the brakes and hope that that car is going to rotate for you. Well, to be fair, he tried it, but it wasn't there.
Well, and I think for Oscar, what happened there is he started to show the nose. He moved over a little bit. Well, that does two things. One, you're telegraphing to the guy you're going to pass what you're thinking of. And he may have been thinking if I can get him to run wide. But at the other point, as soon as you move like that, you get that wall of air that hits you, and you lose that toe, and thus it sort of blunts your momentum. And you either need to stay tucked in and then do just a really decisive move to make it work, or follow him through the corner. And look at this attack as it continues here. This is Kemp. He is absolutely flying and just got by Schreibman for second in Coppa Shell Am and 7th overall. He is a man on a mission, Bill Kemp is.
Absolutely right. So now he's cleared the Jay Schreibman car. He will be up the road, won't he?
Yes.
And you can already see, look, he's built up a couple of car lengths already, having only just passed Jay Schreibman. So he's clearly got the pace. He's got the confidence in himself and in the car as well.
This is an opportunity for Jay because obviously he raced him yesterday.
Yes.
And he's got an opportunity, and he knows he's fairly quick. You know, the crew has told him he's coming. He's running some quick laps. If Jay can stay with him a little bit, watch his lines. What's he doing? Where's he braking? How is he adjusting? Then you can sometimes learn off of that guy and maybe start to find your pace just a little bit. And as we go back to this great battle, Horseman leading in the AM category in that first of the Ferrari with the black noses, the narrower black. And you can see again Arroyo just kind of faints. And I wonder if Oscar isn't just thinking, I'm just trying to get him to run wide, to make a little mistake, get in his mirrors a bit. But Horseman so far has been spot on.
Yes, he has. He's resisted every attempt that Oscar has made in terms of trying to upset him and just break his concentration. And that's all it needs, isn't it? A break of concentration of a millisecond, and that would be enough. Like a Viper, he would then be through. But currently, he's not able to achieve that.
Wow, that was a deep run in
from a long way back, didn't it?
Sure did. Made it work. So it was a great move, but yeah, it really started from a long ways away. Ooh, and a sudden and a really aggressive dive there, too. That's some pretty savvy stuff. When you see an opportunity, that's that kind of decisive stuff you need. And that's Rodolfo Lenzi, who's starting at the back of the field, unfamiliar T car, and has decided, I'm not going to let that bother me at all.
No, absolutely not. So now under some pressure here, the 188 car of David Barbeek, who is beginning to feel the heat of the 173 machine, which is right behind him.
That's Choxy, who is putting on a heck of a run right now in that car, that 173 entry. And then we go back up here, and Watt.
So Michael Watt then continuing to chase down, hasn't been able to find his way past yet, but continues to have a go.
Davies was able to sneak by, and Watt, I think he would like to get back through, but again, not necessarily somebody in your class either, so you're not going to risk anything. You're going to want to try and get through clean. Oh, nice side-by-side scrap here. It's Lisa Clark, and I think is that Ted Giovannis. Ted in the 104, and if he can stay put, he's got the inside, and that's what he needed through 3 and up into 4.
Do you know what? That was a brilliant overtake from Ted Giovannis. It was opportunistic, but he made the opportunity work for him, and Lisa Clark gets relegated there as P6 is now occupied by Ted Giovannis, but Lisa Clark is chasing back now and beginning to think about having a fight back, but Ted Giovannis for the moment is able to show a clean pair of heels to Lisa Clark, who does come back now. Oh, and just yields and thinks better of it, because if there'd have been contact there, it would have been really quite dramatic, wouldn't it? So
it would have.
Very good driving there from Lisa Clark, who just thought, no, discretion is the better part of valor in terms of having a go here.
Ooh, Ted a little wide there. and he may have had to lift, may have given an opportunity to Lisa. And Shea had talked about it. Ted had his best qualifying effort of the season yesterday with a second. This morning ended up sixth, and I think he's a little frustrated with that. He knows he's got the speed and wants to start his march toward the front here, and he now has picked up one more spot, and that's exactly what he wants to see. But Lisa, as we said, she's not going to want to just let him get away if she possibly can.
So they head across to break the timing beam then. Ted Giovannis ahead of Lisa Clark now. So that's P6 and P7 in terms of the AM classification. There you can see the number 120 car of Keith Larson, that all-yellow machine. And Keith Larson is currently P11 overall, but P7 in terms of the Shell drivers, the Coppa Shell drivers. And Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo car then engineered and carrying that number 120 around this 14-turn Indianapolis circuit.
That's the same. He's running in the same place he finished yesterday. Here comes Watt taking a look now at Davies. Oh, in deep, runs it a little bit wide.
If he can make this stick, this will be very good, because it looked like it was going horribly wrong. But
it did.
Just a lap or so ago, you'll recall my mentioning, he looked like he was going to try and pull this back.
And he went in uber deep, as you said, and then was able to get it slowed. And right where Davies would have exited the corner to try and knife underneath, Watt was able to get the car there, and that meant Davies really couldn't take advantage of the opportunity. And he checked up quite a bit, Davies did, and that's allowed Larson in that yellow Ferrari to come right up alongside in spots.
And of course, that's exactly what Michael Watt wants, isn't it?
Yes.
Because the moment he has to think about defending still further, then Michael Watt is just able to escape up the road and already has built up a significant margin, having got that overtake done. To round out the top three in each, then Marquissa leading from Dale Katechis and Davis then in P3. And in the AM classification, it's Horseman, Kemp and Davies.
Davies under attack again. Larson, that's a different class, but you still have to be pretty mindful, obviously. And for Davies, if he lets him through, that means he's going to lose even more ground on Watt.
We've got full course yellow.
We do.
Forgive me interrupting.
Yeah. Haven't seen what may have caused it as yet.
So full course yellow then, and not for the first time in Coppa Shell racing over this weekend.
Boy, I'll tell you, up front, Issa, he
2.5 seconds.
We thought, we thought he was going to open something up here, but I tell you, Katechis, his best lap is only a 10.5 off of Issa's, and he's kept it relatively close. And then Davis staying relatively close in the mix as well. But that's Schreibman,
Jay Schreibman,
and you can see it looks like there's some damage on the left side of that car. Wings dinged up.
So that is the end of the race for Jay Schreibman then. Oh, significant damage down the side of the car, as you indicated. The Corley Ferrari of Detroit driver then going to be helped out of the car, and looks absolutely fine. But of course, confidence will have taken a dent, won't it, as well? So Jay Schreibman is out of contention. We do have this full course yellow. There is our leader, Marquissa for Ferrari of Atlanta then, who hasn't looked troubled, to be honest. Perhaps with the exception of the opening lap when Dale Katechis really tried to take it to him, but from there on in, he's been able to build up a significant margin, which of course is all nullified now.
It is. But this is where Issa, one, taking care of his tires in qualifying.
Yes.
And two, if he was able to build that little bit of a margin with that smooth precision style of driving and hasn't taken much out of the tires, that's a strategy that you've got to be thinking about in these races. If you go out and you just go after it and you burn the tires down, you build up a huge lead or whatever, then you get a caution. People that have taken better care of their tires, that margin you've built up that you can defend with is gone. You can easily be under attack. And I think Marquissa, going back to thinking this through in qualifying, looking at those laps, the fact that he's only a tenth or so quicker than Katechis, it might be that he's just driving fast enough just to lead, not to escape, and looking after those tires.
And that, of course, can pay dividends. There's no question about that. So all the cars then line astern behind the Hublot safety car as we are under this full course yellow, brought about by Jay Schreibman having an incident somewhere out there on the track and damage to the car. That car will have to be recovered before we can go back to racing again. And what have we got? Some 13 minutes remaining on the clock of this Coppa Shell race, which Marquissa leads from Dale Katechis and Brian Davis then, the 1, 2, 3. In terms of Coppa Shell drivers, and then the AM classification within, it's Brad Horseman, then it's Kemp, P2, and Davies is at P3.
And Davis is the guy who's got fast lap of the race right now at a 29.5, a 1 minute 29.5.
Yes.
A couple tenths quicker than Issa. And this is going to allow that margin that had built up, as we said, from almost 6 seconds from Davis to Issa in the lead is going to evaporate. And again, the question is, turning laps that quick, has he been taking care of his tires, or has he been using them up just a little bit?
Yes, I think I'm inclined to believe that probably he's been using them quite willingly, and therefore that may pay a price. Of course, for those that have been pushing really, really hard, this does offer an opportunity just to cool things down a little bit. But of course, what is also important is that you have to try and maintain some temperature in.
You have to, yep. And with the we talked about the tires on this track. Every tire, as you're racing it, little bits of the tire ball up and come off, and it's called marbles is what how they tend to call it. And if you're running offline, especially like through an incident scene, you have to move offline, you get some of that on your tires. A lot of that weaving that you see is not so much to heat the tires, it's to clean them a little bit. The heat you've talked about before, you're better to keep the tires hot by just being aggressive on the brakes and letting that kind of heat radiate up and through. One thing I wanted to point out here, Bill Kemp has set fast lap in the race.
Yes.
He has been aggressive. He was a good 7 seconds behind Horseman.
And now
he's now right behind him on this restart. There they are.
So Bradley Horseman then, metaphorically, is really going to have to stick his elbows out when it comes to the restart, isn't he? And make that car a little bit wider than it really is. Yep. Because we know how lively Bill Kemp is.
Yep, elbows up. It's time to do it. You are absolutely correct. There's Horseman in the 105, and there in the all-red entry is the number 126 of Kemp. Then Watt, running in the Coppa Shell class, sits 6th in that category right now. Then Davies in the 108 is 3rd in the Coppa Shell AM category. And so if Watt can get by Horseman and Kemp, or if Davies can get by Watt, Davies has been running some pretty decent laps too. So, and then let's not forget 4th, Ian Campbell in the Coppa Shell AM category, and then Giovanna's 5th, Lisa Clark 6th. And this is going to bring them all very close.
What it does, of course, as you've just alluded, is it packs everyone together, and that does mean that perhaps where once an opportunity did not present itself, there are more opportunities presented following a full course yellow, because of course all the cars are very, very close together. Also does mean that there is the potential opportunity for things to go horribly wrong as well, because of course all the cars are bunched up together again. It's almost like it will be a restart, but it's like starting the race all over again, but halfway through. Well, more than halfway through, 2/3 through now, because we're into the final 10 minutes now. To me, it looks like the lights are off on the safety car.
It sure does. So that Hublot safety car going to hit pit lane, and we should be going back to racing. And oftentimes, after a caution, it's who handles the frustration. If you've lost a lot of ground because of the caution, who handles it better? We're about to find out. Green flag flies. Issa onto the throttle. Katechis in second. Look at Davis, the run he had, right to the wall, trying to carry every ounce of speed. And down to the inside, Milstein now taking a look at Arroyo. He's inside in that battle for 4th.
So almost 3 abreast into turn number 1 they go then. Milstein catching quite a lot of the curve there, but the 138 car does get ahead of Oscar Arroyo, and he'd set that up really rather perfectly, hadn't he? The top 3, Issa, Katechis and Davis, just breaking away a little bit from those cars that are in contention there, and Oscar Arroyo now feeling the pressure once again.
Yeah, it's from Horseman. Ooh, Horseman running way wide. And I think he got right up underneath. And although these cars aren't massively aero-sensitive, you get close enough under that rear wing, you can lose a little bit of downforce on the nose. And he did the right thing. Didn't try and steer through it. Just let the car have its head and flow here a little bit. As we watch Katechis and Davis, and already Issa is starting to ease away just a little bit.
And, of course, Milstein on the back of this back now. And the more these two fight, of course, it's just playing into the hands of Milstein. And there you can see running up high and wide there as trying to get a completely different line. Dale Katechis is really having to defend here. So rather than attacking Marquissa ahead of him, he's having to think about trying to protect that P2 position he's got currently. Yes. Still got 8 minutes to run, so still plenty of laps for lots to happen. And for the moment, Dale Katechis can breathe a sigh of relief. And different lines there as they exit that turn 14.
Well, that's Davis trying to carry every ounce of speed. Problem was he ran a little wide through 13, so he wasn't able to get to the power quite soon enough. But that line he's running, if he cleans up the exit of 13, yes, it's a really effective line. As the 165 at Grilly has had an off, and looks like he's
right at that's at the pit lane, yes, pit in, isn't it? So
that'll work.
Yes, that was fortuitous,
wasn't it? Good for him, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see now. We're coming up to that section of track. This is through 5, 6, and this long run down the straight. And again, if Davis, if he's still behind Katechis by the time they get to 13, if he can clean the exit up at 13, not run quite as wide, and get to throttle, his line through 14 is actually a quicker line.
Well, let's see then. So Katechis at the moment then maintains that P2 position, but what a battle it is going on for P2. There you can see Davis just closes just a little bit, doesn't he, on every opportunity. And they make this sweep now up onto that banked section, and then heavy braking once again.
Now watch the second car, the blue car of Katechis. He's pretty good through 13 here, keeps it pinched. Nice and tidy that time. See how far Davis runs over?
Yes.
So when he makes that little correction, that little pivot, as he's doing that, you have to delay getting to throttle. So if you would open or tighten that exit up at 13 so we could pick the throttle up a little sooner with the line he's running, he'd be very strong through there as an off from the 173. That's Choxy. Gathered it up again. Let's see if we can see what. Oh, and he just lost it through turn 11.
Whoa. That's
Wow.
a heart in the mouth moment, that, isn't it?
It certainly is. A lot of runoff, fortunately, a lot of room in that, especially since it spun down to the inside.
Yes.
Kind of different story, but it gone the other way, certainly. Ted Giovannis, he is sticking right with Ian Campbell right now. That's the battle for fourth. Ted in that red car with the orange roof right in front of him. That sort of black and red highlighted entry of Campbell. Both of them chasing down that blue and white Ferrari of Davies.
So Michael Watt just disappearing in the picture there. Oh, and then getting very skittish under braking there for Davies then in the 108 car. Of course, he's really under pressure from Ian Campbell, isn't he? And right behind them, as you quite rightly said, is Ted Giovannis, who's having a real go here. So there is the Michael Watt car just disappearing from picture now. And Ted Giovannis could be very clever here. And, you know, if he just allows the car of Campbell to do the fighting on his behalf and try and pick up the pieces that should fall for him, then potentially it could be a good opportunity for him. But in fairness, Campbell is not quite as close to Davies as he was. So
No.
Davies now beginning to chase the Keith Larson car. Of course, Keith Larson is in the Shell classification, but whilst all that's going on, Marquissa is extending his lead, quietly going about his business. 2.5 seconds the margin now from P1 to P2, which is Dale Katechis, who still is merely 0.3 ahead of Davis.
And look at this margin now. Horseman just went out of frame. There's Watt, who is in a different class than Kemp. And we thought that Kemp might be able to attack on Horseman. But Michael Watt, who runs in the Coppa Shell category, split the two AM drivers.
Yes.
And that has dropped Kemp back just a little bit and given Horseman a lot of breathing room. As we go back to this great battle, there's the 120 of Larson. And the yellow Ferrari. There is a look at Kemp. He was showing such good speed, but when Watt got through it, obviously got him off rhythm a little bit. And here comes Campbell looking to get around Davies.
So will Davies muck up his braking now because of Campbell trying to off-put him by being in his rearview mirrors? Well, certainly he didn't. He absolutely controlled that perfectly. And that's when Ted Giovannis is able to close once again just to try and take advantage of the fight that's going on ahead of him. However, at the moment, it's everything as they were. Will it stay this way for the remaining 3.5 minutes in this Coppa Shell race? Well, logic would suggest not, truthfully.
Exactly.
Everyone fighting for every position that they can get.
As we watch this great battle, just a quick note here, Eric Marston, who we've talked about, who's just had that issue in qualifying yesterday, and it just hasn't been right. He started today's race in 22nd spot overall. He's up to 13th and 6th in the Coppa Shell Am category. Whatever the problem is, they worked it out. He is on the move and putting in some good laps.
And perhaps showing us the race talent that we know that Eric Marston has for Ferrari Westlake. So good job from Eric, running P6 in class and, as you say, P13 overall, which is a heck of an achievement given where he started.
Look at this battle now. Davis, who had been attacking on the blue Ferrari there of Katechis, has dropped off a little bit, and the reason is now he needs to be defending a little bit to Milstein. He's got that Ferrari of San Diego entry right there, and he too feeling big pressure from a recovering Arroyo.
I think Arroyo could be the one to watch in the closing stages of this race, because it looks like he's got the pace, doesn't it? And all of a sudden Milstein knows that the Ferrari of San Diego car that he's driving has got to be put into defense mode, probably, from Oscar Arroyo, who really is pushing now. You can just tell from the poise of the car, can't you, just how aggressive Oscar is being. What can he do? It's only 2 and a bit minutes, so that equates to a couple of laps. That's all of this extraordinary Indianapolis circuit to be done.
Well, this is some great racing. This battle for 3rd overall, Davis, Milstein, Arroyo, and then you throw in Horseman. Then you go back and you take a look at the battle that we've been following as well. Another good one for 3rd final podium spot in the AM category. Davies, Campbell, Giovannis, and Marston coming up as well. Some great racing unfolding in both of the categories.
Yes, and as we saw yesterday, that both individual classes really providing us with some great race entertainment. Under braking. Arroyo then gets just a little bit closer, but that compromises his exit from the turn, truthfully. So the number 190 car then throwing absolutely everything at it from the Ferrari of Fort Lauderdale engineered machine here. But perhaps this pace has all come a little bit late. There you can see Dale Katechis, who presumably can thank goodness for that, because of course he's opened up a sufficient margin over Davis, probably to be able to bring this home now. And of course, whilst all that has been going on, Marquissa puts 3.2 seconds between himself and that very car of Dale Katechis that we were talking about.
Oh, look at the run that Davies got here. You can't even see him behind the yellow Ferrari of Larson. And he's trying to figure out a way through, because if he doesn't, Campbell and Giovannis are going to come after him. Again, Larson runs in a different category, but Davies, Campbell, and Giovannis, that is for position here. And one thing to note, we talked about this track being sensitive to heat and how it affects the tires. We're up to over 85 degrees. It's up by 4 degrees since the start of this race. So everybody, I'm sure, has those tires are starting to fade just a little bit, and they are now really trying to work it and be up on the wheel here, and we should be into our final lap. Oh, Larson running wide. Opportunity here for Davies. Now he wanted to cut underneath, and Larson knew that was happening. Here we go. Last lap has begun.
So final lap then for this Ferrari Challenge North America race, being led by the Marquissa car, 1:07, then 3.5 seconds to the good. But elsewhere throughout the pack, there are lots of battles going on between Shell drivers and the AM drivers also.
This one is interesting. Larson in the Coppa Shell category, then 3 AM guys locked into a battle behind him.
So Larson at the moment holds firm, and as you rightly say, you've got Davies, Campbell, and Giovannis all jostling for position, and it's up for grabs. Of course, is the final AM podium place.
Ooh. That was a big moment there. That was Arroyo, got through on Milstein.
Yes. Well, we said he'd look lively, and there was probably going to be a last lap lunge, and that certainly came, didn't it?
And he made it stick. Thus far, Owen Milstein trying to pick the throttle up to be able to take a run at him through this section. The back end stepping out of the car. Like I said, these tires, these guys have been working these Pirelli P0s. They're brilliant tires, but in this heat and under this level of duress, any tire is going to fade just a little bit, and Milstein is feeling it. He hasn't lost a lot of ground. This is going to be a great run. Final turn. Issa has it covered, goes to the wall for the celebration as he crosses the yard of bricks.
So Issa then taking the win from Dale Katechis, P2.
And Arroyo got back around.
Wow.
That is amazing. Didn't see exactly where that happened. It had to be in turn 12, 13.
No, we didn't. So, well, this isn't
Yes.
over either yet. Look, Ted Giovannis with a final flourish towards the end to try and wrestle away positions ahead of him. But in the end, it was as they were.
No,
is how
they worked
crossed the
hard,
yard
didn't
of
they?
bricks. Wow.
What a battle. And Arroyo waiting, as you said, till that last lap and pouncing with that great move, then Milstein lighting the tires up as he tried to get back to the throttle and couldn't quite get the power down, and that gave Arroyo a little bit of breathing room as they got to the line. And Horseman, another win. He was top 5 yesterday, just missing an overall top 5 today, but a win with a 6th overall finish. Kemp in his first weekend of racing in the championship this year. Boy, a 3rd and a 2nd, not too bad for your debut weekend.
Absolutely, you'll take that, wouldn't you? If somebody had said that to him coming into this weekend, I think he'd said, yes, thanks very much.
And then Davies completing the podium in the AM category, fending off Campbell and Giovannis. That was some good stuff. And that's classy right there. Dale Katechis pulled up alongside Marquissa, and they were both waving at each other. And these guys love doing this, and they do it well.
And it is that camaraderie, isn't it?
Yep.
Of course, when the green flag falls, everyone's an enemy, and
Absolutely.
you've got to get past. But actually, when the checkered flag comes out, we go back to being buds again, and that's great to see. Category then in each, and the top 3 in Shell, Marquissa, Dale Katechis, and Davis then rounding out the top 3. And in the AM classification, Horseman, Kemp, and Davis, they provided some great entertainment for us as well.
They absolutely did. And Horseman, what a weekend. And to see him break out and break through like he has here, very impressive. And backs it up. When you sweep a weekend, things are clearly going your way. And you look at what he had done earlier in the season. He had a 3rd place finish for Brad at Sebring in the 2nd race, then dropped back a 6th, then he moved up, had a 4th, but it was at Montreal when everything started to click. He had 2 great qualifying efforts, resulted in 2 podiums, and then the next race he comes to, he sweeps.
Mention, if we can, for the AM driver, Eric Marston, who you brought this up earlier on, from given where he started and having had a torrid weekend thus far, to have banked a P6, I think he'll be pretty happy that he's finally got his charge back on track once again. Of course, he hasn't banked as many points as he would have liked to have done, but good to see Eric Marston featuring certainly within the top 10 and a P6 finish for him.
Absolutely. In this field, to come from 22nd to 13th, very, very stout. And he did that. A lot of that was done before that caution came out. So, I mean, that was done just on some raw pace from Marston. I'm sure he's frustrated a little bit with how his weekend's gone after getting a win in one of the races at Montreal. And he delivered beautifully. And once again, taking a look here, looks like Lisa Clark had a problem late in the race and didn't finish where she wanted to. So it looks like Eileen Bildman's going to win the Ladies' Cup. But right now,
I think Marquissa is happy. You know?
think he's a bit juiced? I think so. He is loving this moment. And look at what he was able to do at the end. He was after that restart, he was able to just ease away to the tune of almost 4 seconds. To the tune of almost 4 seconds, and I really, really believe that a lot of that goes back to his decision to risk that pole in qualifying.
I think you're right.
To save those tires, because when that went back to green, he had tire to fight with.
I think you're absolutely right. You've called that so correctly, and it was very mature, sensible driving, wasn't it? So there, confirmation of the classification. Then Issa, Katechis, and Davis. Then the top 3 with regards to the Coppa Shell class, and then in the AMs it was Horseman, Kemp, and indeed Davies, the top 3, but of course the top 10 in full for you as well. Issa, Katechis, Davis, and then Arroyo, Milstein, Horseman, Watt, Kemp, and then it was Larson, Davis before we get to the second page, which contains Campbell, Giovannis, Eric Marston, Penovich, then Varwig, Bilderman, Corley, Perescoia, Heggie, and Choksy. Then rounding out the top 20, Rudolph Lenzi, Neil Langberg, Lisa Clark, Gianni Grilli, and of course Jay Schreibman. We saw with an off, and Claudia Senaretti was a non-starter. Marquissa then very delighted, I am sure. He right now is with Shay.
Well, Mark, you didn't make it easy for you, did Dale Katechis out there? You're having to work hard today, but you're a winner at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
I am. I get to kiss some bricks, kiss my kid, kiss my lady. This is a great win today. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ferrari. Hey, this is amazing. Amazing.
What could have made the race better? Anything? Was it perfect?
The hell am I going to complain about now? Heck no, this is it.
Great job today, man.
Thank you so much. All right. Good job, everyone.
Sorry, but
No, that
brilliant.
was brilliant, wasn't it? Absolutely. Just fantastic. What a reaction. He just wears it on his sleeve, doesn't he? He's just amazing. Let's get back down to Shay.
Well, Brad Horseman, you said you think you lost 5 pounds. It was only a 30-minute race, so you must have been working really hard out there. But, hey, you got a nice big hug from Marquissa. The camaraderie after winning a race, what's that like?
Oh, it's what makes us serious. I mean, it's wonderful to be in Indianapolis. It's wonderful to be on these podiums. It's wonderful to race for Ferrari. I mean, to be out here and when you just stop yourself, forget first, second, third. I mean, just to be able to do that it's such a great experience. And then to have guys like Mark and everybody else out here, it's wonderful. I'm having the time of my life.
You were a bit nervous earlier on after getting the pole position. You were getting a lot of pressure out there from Oscar Arroyo, a lot of really good hard racing. You feel like you're breathing a little better now?
No. I'm still out of wind. Yes. I was very nervous after yesterday because I knew, wow, we had such a great day on Saturday with pole, first place, the whole 9 yards. And to be able to repeat that was going to be really, really tough, like I said earlier. And it's sinking in now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
He had one heck of a weekend. He had a great drive today. The one thing that may have helped him a little bit was Watt slipping around Kemp.
I agree.
And getting Kemp off his rhythm because Kemp was, I think he had the pace to race him. Did he have the pace to beat him? I don't know. But now you take a look at these points, and Issa with that win has done what he needed to do, has opened it up just a little bit. But Cadet just continues to close in on Davis. He does second.
Just 7 points between P2 and P3, and Cloudson already 94 points. So the top three then, 169, 139 and 132, as you quite rightly say, the battle between P3 and P2, and of course those battles will continue when we head off to Homestead, Miami, which is the next round for Coppa Shell in terms of the Ferrari Challenge.
Take a look at the rest of the points here. I want to make one more point about Eileen Bildman. Not only did she win the Ladies' Cup, her best finish of the season she recorded today. It's her first top 10, and it was a 7th in class. That was a tremendous run by Eileen, and absolutely just superb effort. Catherine Legg, her coach, and Catherine, of course, amazing driver as well, and she really has Eileen on form here at Indianapolis, and that's great to see. Here's a look at the AM Championship, and this is the one that was awfully close. Well, with Schreibman's incident there, now Horseman's got a little bit of breathing room, but Schreibman now only 4 clear of Brilli, who had his problems. Marston, as a result, and that charge by Marston
that's helped,
keeps him right in it.
Yes. So
and Lisa in the top 5.
And then the rest of the order, as you can see, in terms of the Drivers' Championship. Bill Kemp, what an impressive weekend that has been.
Absolutely. His first event of the season comes right in, and podiums in both races. What a great addition to the championship. And he's aggressive, too. I mean, he gets up on it. He'll work curves. He'll come after it. He's a lot of fun to watch, and obviously has some speed. And, of course, in terms of speed this weekend, Marquissa was a guy who had an awful lot of it. Needed it today, but led this time into that first turn. Was able to stay there throughout, but boy, some fierce action behind him. Cars as you'd expect in turn 1. Running wide, but this time no contact, and that was a big move here. Here was a big move by Kemp as he got underneath Schreiben. That was for second in class.
That was a big move, but that wasn't the only move that was coming in. There was a real ding-dong battle going on here between Ted Giovannis and Lisa Clark, and neither were prepared to give a centimetre. In the end, of course, it would be Ted Giovannis who was able to just demand and get by.
Then Michael Watt on the attack here on Davies. And Watt runs it a little wide. Davies thought, I'm going to cut underneath. And by the time he got to where he needed to turn in, Watt was still able to be there. And then this big lurid slide gathered it up for Choxy. But that was a big moment, as you said, heart in the throat. Ooh, and another big wobble here. So some serious struggles unfolding for Real Choxy.
Oscar Arroyo was going to be, towards the end of the race, a bit of a star in my opinion, and that was one overtake as Marquissa took the checkered flag.
And Penovic, and then Davies coming through, and then Arroyo for 4th, and Milstein for 5th, and an excited Marquissa celebrating with AM winner Bradley Horseman.
a 10-minute break.